What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Not a Podcast. I am John, aka ARTV.
And I'm Infinity on Hannah, and today we have a very special guest.
Well, I don't know. He's not that special. I don't know. He's made a few musical projects that you might know. Jarrod Alonge, welcome to the show.
That was 100% correct. Well done.
I figured I'd go with the name origins there and pronounce it correctly.
We don't want to be disrespectful here.
But before we do anything else, Jarrod, I wanted to get something a little bit awkward out of the way. I mean, we had a little bit of beef. Warped Tour 2016. You sent out.
Oh yeah, that was by far my most intense, most covered by the press beef of my career.
Yeah, I could say similar things, and it seemed like way too many of the fangirls that you have are on your side. But let's go ahead and roll the clip.
Hey Jan Compton, I've been watching your YouTube videos. Not gonna lie, they kind of suck. I appreciate that one album review, but aside from that, it's a little lackluster. Could kind of hone in, especially with the scripting. Just do altogether a better job. I'm just thoroughly unimpressed, as is everyone else on this tour. So yeah, I'm just very disappointed.
Jarrod, you said some pretty harsh things in this clip. You not only mispronounced my name, you also undermined my integrity by saying that none of the bands on Warped Tour liked my channel and that everything had turned lackluster. Do you have any comments on this?
Well, I gotta say, John, 2016 was a long time ago. I've found the Lord, and yeah, that.
Well, that sounds about as
Is that relatable?
That's a very good explanation. I'm just gonna go ahead and accept that, and just like DJ Khaled said, you changed a lot.
Let's move on from that.
What song is that from?
Oh, it's his album called I Changed a Lot.
The only thing I know about DJ Khaled is the what is it? Another One.
Another one.
Oh, yeah,
Just like
same.
a meme. I know nothing else about him or anything he does or.
Do you follow H3 Productions?
I
on
do
YouTube?
actually.
Have you seen any of their DJ Khaled videos?
No, unfortunately. Okay, so me with following other YouTubers and just people on the internet, it's usually I can't like watch new videos every day just because I'm already busy enough with my own work and I'm already predisposed to never wanting to go onto YouTube because I feel like I'm working. So very rarely do I get to watch new videos. So I see maybe like one video from each of the people I'm subscribed to like a month, maybe less.
Oh, so that's why you missed my Canadian softball review then. Jarrod, I'm assuming it wasn't always like that. When did you start like even watching YouTube videos? Was it something where you were in at the start, or did you not really get on YouTube until you started making them yourself?
So how old are you?
I'm 25, right around your age.
We're like the same age. So you remember like 10 years ago, YouTube wasn't nearly as ubiquitous. It wasn't like you go on YouTube to do stuff. It's just like that's where the videos are and you just like link them to MySpace or whatnot. So I'd been on since those days. I don't think you could really get into following people like because at first it was just like random videos. But then I think the personalities came up in like, I don't know, 2006, 2007. I think at first I started watching like Smosh videos like everybody else. And
yep, that's the exact same way I got into YouTube.
Smosh, Shane Dawson for sure.
Yeah.
Yep, the Fred is dead video I think was one
classic.
of the first. Yep.
Yeah.
So with YouTube, were there any creators that you looked to early on as like any kind of inspiration? Like, I don't know what music YouTubers were even around back in, say, 2007 to 2010.
Not really. This is a very boring answer. So when I was making YouTube videos at first, they were just guitar covers, and I wasn't like trying to be a quote unquote YouTuber. I just wanted to like put my videos on like Facebook and stuff for my friends, with no real like overarching goal to it. So the first video I made that got like an audience was every pop punk vocalist, and that was like near the end of college, when I didn't really like watch or was inspired by YouTubers or people on the internet at that point. So I don't know, by that time I was just kind of like, oh, I have an audience now, I guess I could kind of just go with it.
That's actually kind of awesome that you just kind of made that video like out of nowhere, because it's absolutely hilarious.
Like, it was just like, this is funny.
Yeah.
My 7 friends will appreciate this.
More like 700,000. Actually, that one's over 1 million now, isn't it?
We pulled that video up the other night with a few friends because they hadn't seen it, and we were all like dying laughing. It's seriously so funny.
It's one of those things where if you go to shows like that, it makes sense. And we've seen, I mean, we saw, who was it that we accidentally watched it? Oh, it was Memphis. We accidentally watched part of Memphis Mayfire's
Yeah.
set at Warped Tour this year.
I think Maddie was the guy that triggered it. I think like I had just gotten back from a Memphis Mayfire show, and I was like,
full circle right there. Then
like
that was that was the perfect thing.
No, like it was like when I was writing, I retroscript everything, so it's just kind of improv, but I still like make an outline. But when I was making the outline, I was just going through videos on YouTube, and I got most of them from like Memphis Mayfire live sets.
Who said the line, "I would literally die for pop punk," or was that an exaggeration of something somebody else said?
So you know that Man Overboard T-shirt?
Yes.
Yes.
Where it's just like defend pop punk or
pop
whatever
Defend
with
pop
the
punk.
gun. I had
So
like
serious.
I had like an AR-15 at my house at the time, or I think it was probably just like an airsoft gun. But I do have a lot of guns at my house. I'm from Tennessee.
That explains it.
We have like a gun range right by our house, and or where I used to live with my parents. So yeah, we have a lot of guns, and I think the line just came from that because I wanted to put a gun in a video. It was a good talk.
That was hilarious.
So basically what you're saying is that whenever you're not shooting music videos, you're shooting guns outside of at the gun range near your home.
No. I would actually never really do it. My dad and brother shoot all the time. We just have the guns there.
So going back to what you said about your guitar covers, that actually explains your original channel URL, I think, a lot more. Do you care to explain?
Yeah, X Guitar Hero 325X.
325X.
Yeah, I mean, like,
yeah.
I just did guitar covers, and Guitar Hero was really cool at the time. And X's in your username was also pretty cool at the time.
Love X's.
But yeah, that username...
I would still argue that it's still pretty cool.
Yeah, still pretty cutting edge. But yeah, that username's literally from, like, AOL Instant Messenger, like 12 years ago or more. And
I think that leads me to like what I was gonna say about people being very, very surprised about the fact that you actually play guitar. And I think there were signs and clues left everywhere, whether it be the username or the actual some of the old videos of you covering songs. Was it surprising to you, the fact that people were so surprised whenever you came out with, like, your Crazy 88 project, for example, and, like, people knew you were playing on it?
I definitely noticed it. I figured at that point people would just know that I played guitar, but it makes sense because over the years I just like lying to people on Twitter. Or I think my sarcasm gets to the point where I don't think they realize it's sarcasm, where I make an album and do all the stuff for it, and people were like, "Do you play any instruments?" And I'm like, "No, I don't play anything. I just released this album out of the air." Like,
it all ties back to they think you're like DJ Khaled. You know, he's just rounding up all the guests. He doesn't actually produce anything.
So that's what DJ Khaled does.
Yeah.
See, I know nothing about this guy. I got to get into some Khaled.
Exactly. DJ Alonge over here rounding up everybody in the pop punk scene. Come on, Maddie Mullins and, Johnny Frank, whoever wants to appear on my record. Let's do this. What was, like, in the studio? Like, what was the vibe like recording for, like, comedy records? Like, obviously a lot of people have seen your outtake videos and that sort of thing, but, like, how many takes do some of these songs actually take to record?
Oh, man. That was, like, 3 questions in one question. Studio vibes. So starting off, everything was over Skype, and most of it still is over Skype. But when we have a bigger project, I'll go up to Columbus where Johnny's studio is, and we'll do like a week of stuff in person. But most of the work we can get done over Skype. It honestly feels like we're slacking off the entire time. Like I had a really hard. Well, I know for Johnny it felt like we were slacking off, even though we were getting a lot of work done. But for me, it was really hard for just years doing this to feel like I was actually getting anything accomplished, because I didn't feel like I was working ever. And like the screwing around and like getting off track is like what makes stuff good.
Yeah.
It's actually probably what inspires like some of the like more improv type moments that come out in like the lyrics, or like the endings to some of the songs. Like what was the new one on the Canadian softball record where there's like a bunch of chatter at the end, like okay, we're just gonna end the song. Mathematical. Was that an improv session, or was that something that was planned?
No, I knew the types of things I was going to say during those parts, and I like kind of improvised it, but I had the overall structure kind of mapped out in my head. I think I wrote that song the day we recorded it, just lyrically. But yeah, I mean, I instinctively try to like suppress that habit of like screwing around, because that's something you grow up, you shouldn't really do that because it makes you unproductive. But screwing around has resulted in like some of the funniest content I've released. Yeah, so I still kind of grapple with it. I've kind of accepted it now, but I don't know, it's just one of those things. It's really hard to explain if you can't tell.
What song from the Canadian softball album like took the longest, and like what was like the most ridiculous, like the hardest to actually complete?
Let me look up the track list for it. Once I release an album, I just block it out of my mind and never want to listen to it again, so I've kind of like forgotten. The longest one.
I've got a guess in mind as to what it might be.
What's your guess? I'd like to know.
My guess is Lizer Guide.
No, that song that came together pretty easily. And it was also based off like
an actual life experience?
No. Like the instrumental was based off like a Bill Murray B-side. To the listeners, Bill Murray, not the actor, but Bill Murray is Johnny Frank's little like I guess indie rock hardcore side project. And if we have a song where the joke or the core of what makes a song good is in the lyrics and not really the instrumental, we'll just like find some old instrumental sitting around because we don't have time. But yeah, I think we just reworked an old instrumental of his and just added in the title fight stuff.
I actually caught one of our friends, like, I threw that song on, like, while we were just kind of chatting, and, like, he was, like, really vibing with it.
Oh, dude, I love
Turnover.
Yeah. Exactly.
Actually me. Like, that's one of those songs I feel like, if you were literally, like, high on something, you would actually, like, really take it seriously and, like, enjoy it or something.
Like, oh my god, is he okay? Like, is he okay?
Yeah.
It gets so intense towards the end.
This album was a bit different than our other projects because we did so much of it in such a short amount of time, and I think it's the most we've pushed ourselves in writing, I guess, a comedy album. But like we made the mistake. I was in Columbus for a week, and we made the mistake of going to emo night. And I don't know if you guys have been to just any emo night.
We have. We've been to
Where do you guys
night.
live?
We're in North Carolina.
Oh, okay, so you're not that far away from me. But
no, not too far.
So I just knew we'd go up there, see some friends, and then get back in a timely fashion for the next day of work. But we ended up staying there well into the AMs, because I mean, like we would try to leave, and then they put on like Coheed and Cambria. It's like, oh, I gotta stay for this. All right, let's
one more song.
All
right,
damn sure.
That was me and Chiodos.
And then like they start playing Under Oath, and there's like 300 people in there jumping around. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So the next day we got like a super late start, And so we got to the studio late, and we just ended up staying until almost midnight that night. So it was like a 14-hour work day of just trying to squeeze out the rest of our creative juices. But so yeah, I really don't remember the process for this album because it was so frazzled, and like amidst all of this, I was trying to get the Crazy 88 stuff together.
Right.
Dude,
So
you're setting up all the segues for us. That's perfect. We wanted to ask about Crazy 88 and like the future of, I guess, making more serious and original music and that sort of thing. Like, do you plan on continuing with that project, or was it more of a one-off type thing? And you thinking about doing more with like even solo stuff in the future?
Yeah, definitely continuing with that project. I mean, Lauren's such a talented vocalist, and I love shitty post-hardcore music, so I really doubt I'm going to lose interest in that. I think maybe sometime this month I might put together another round of covers, because I had like the first cover EP, and I might do another one and then do like a full-length release of original songs. Yeah, still pursuing that. I might actually throw another project in there to get, I guess, to exercise my my prog metal desires.
Desires, I like that.
Yeah. So there might be another project in there, and I still have some ideas with I guess some fictitious comedy bands that I haven't done yet.
I'm still waiting on the Swag Chode full length.
Yeah, signed some new bands to Chodezilla Records.
Yeah.
Jesus. So what's been like your favorite like actual parody project that you've done?
I like them all for so many different reasons.
Yeah.
So like the Swag Chode stuff sucks ass, but
I love seeing you dressed up as Threve, though.
Oh my
God.
yeah,
That's one of my
recording
favorites.
that in the studio was so funny. Like we were screaming, laughing, and like rolling on the ground. But in the end, it's just like, okay, fuck this song. But I mean, probably like Sunrise Skater Kids, just because I guess that does well. I really enjoyed doing Canadian Softball. Just because singing was a totally new thing that I hadn't really tried before. Like I know I can sing because I did like choir through high school, and I know the science of it, but I'd never really tried like lead vocals on anything before, so I was interested to see how that would play out.
I think the Canadian Softball album has probably been our favorites. Like
Definitely my favorite.
Both of ours.
Like I actually saved so much of that because I actually really like love the music, you know, and I mean like the instrumentation, and then like the lyricism is just like funny, and that's like it's just there's nothing wrong with it. It just makes me like laugh and smile. So it's definitely my favorite.
But the thing is, whenever it comes to actually making serious music for you, is it something where you find it's difficult because you get in your head, you're like, I parody this music all the time?
Instrumentally, it's a bit. Well, no, I think it's harder on all fronts because you care more about it. So when I'm writing like a metalcore parody, and I put a shitty breakdown in there, which they're shitty because they're easy to come up with. It's just, that's fine. That's how it's supposed to sound. But I guess you scrutinize yourself a bit more when you want people to take it seriously. But I mean, like, it is a serious project, but it's not, I'm not trying to take myself too seriously in it. Like, I realize it sounds like every band from 15 years ago. But at the same time, I want people to be enjoyed by it and not be distracted by it being overwhelmingly generic.
So what does your girlfriend think of like your music? Is there like a specific project that she's like really like in love with, or does she just like hate like you're always in the studio or you're always working on something like that?
Yeah, so she like most of my friends, they don't give a shit about my my YouTube stuff, and they treat me like a normal person, which is something I appreciate. But most of them are aware of if I have like a new album coming out or something. I mean, honestly, if I was doing something else, I think our relationship would be totally the same, because I do my 8-hour work days and I get off and we hang out, and everything after that, unless I have to like sift through Twitter, do an email, like it's just like any other job. But I think she likes Canadian softball the most, just because I'm singing on it, and I think that's the only reason. Yeah, she'll like occasionally get a song stuck in her head and will sing it around me, and I'm just like, please stop.
I did that in the studio for however long.
Yeah.
Like, how long have you guys been together now? A few years, right?
We just had our 3-year anniversary.
Well, congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. Where, like, I'm trying to think back 3 years ago. Is that around the time whenever Beating a Dead Horse was coming out?
No, it was probably like 8 months before that. It was probably like a school semester after every pop punk vocalist. Because I remember I did that video as I was going into my, no wait, not a semester, like a school year's worth. It was my last year of college. So I remember coming out of that summer, I did every pop punk vocalist, and then when I moved back home the following May, we started dating.
So during, I guess, that early time period, did she know, like, what you did? Or was it, like, this deep, dark secret? Like, oh, my God, she's going to find, like, these videos of me in a garage bouncing around saying, I would literally die for pop punk.
Exactly. Yeah, I it's interesting. She knew all the way through, but it isn't. I've never thought of being like single in my 20s and having to break that to people I date on like Tinder or something.
Right.
Which I'm actually a little thankful now that we're dating.
Right.
But no. So Rachel, I've known her entire family for like 15 years. Like her older brother is one of my best friends from like elementary school. We did like elementary, middle school, and high school together, and I've just been around her family for a long time. I always joke around with her. She'll ask like, "When'd you first start liking me?" And I'm like, "You were the hottest 7-year-old I'd ever met." And she's like, "Oh my God."
That's cute.
Yeah. So when we started dating, it honestly felt like we were already like 3 years into, I guess, a normal dating relationship.
What's the age difference between you guys? Because Hannah and I do have an age gap as well.
Just 2 years.
Okay, a little bit more. We got 4 years, but it's one of those things where like
once you pass 20, it doesn't matter. Yeah, if it's like an 18-year-old dating a 16-year-old, it's like, I don't know about that. But if it's like a 20-year-old dating a 50-year-old, it's like, oh, you can do whatever you want.
What have been some of your favorite records that have come out so far this year? Like what music? I mean, even songs, I guess, in general. I don't know if, in my opinion, it's been that great of a year for albums, but even songs or EPs that you're really like loving
this year. I'm really, really bad about keeping up with new music, and I think the only reason I make time to go out and do that is because it's kind of part of my job. But I'm just gonna look through Apple Music and scroll through. Let's see. I've been jamming the Japanese House kind of religiously for like a year.
They have a EP called Clean, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's never released an album, just like a plethora of
series of EPs.
And I think she's keeping it that way.
I know that they're on the same label as the 1975 and Wolf Alice Dirty Hit, and I really enjoy the Clean EP. I need to, I guess, check out this new EP as well.
Yeah, I just love that type of music. Just like mellow instrumental stuff. What else have I been jamming? Polyphia's new EP is sick.
Oh, I'm familiar with that.
I was about to say, I'm going to let you take that one, Hannah.
Weren't they all instrumental, or are they still?
They're still completely instrumental.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
They had a song last year that they made with, I think he goes by Lo-File now. You know, Ty Accord from Issues?
Yes.
His like stuff. He produced a song, so it's like their normal metal electronic or normal like technical metal stuff, but way more electronic. So they did an EP that was, I guess, way more electronic. Boston Manners.
Hell yeah.
Recent album. It's pretty good. This band Currents, I think they're from Connecticut. I found them like a long time ago, and it was one of those bands where like, when did I find them? It was like when they had some obscure EP on like MySpace, and they're still not that big, but when I met them in Orlando last Warped Tour, and they were like, "Oh, we like your stuff," and I was like, "I love your stuff," and they're like, "We've never released anything." I'm like, "Yes, you have," and they're like, "Oh, we didn't know, but anybody knew about that."
That's so funny.
But yeah, Currents has this new album, The Place I Feel Safest. It's if you like that kind of music, it's something to get into. Paramore's new album, of course.
Of course. I feel like I remember you tweeting about something else that I was pretty hyped on as well. I can't remember what it was around the same time as maybe it was the Paramore album. Maybe you just mentioned it a couple of times, and I was just like, yeah, please do a root.
Probably. Yeah.
Are you still doing your albums series currently, where you talk about?
Yeah, I didn't do one last month. I think I'm actually gonna stop doing it. I mean, it's like a good series, and I enjoy it, but I'm just starting to not. It's starting to feel like a hassle now, and I'm actually on the cusp of like completely reformatting my YouTube channel, and because I always feel like I have to have like a set of series or something that's like consistent and gets people in. And like branching out and doing just some like random video is just kind of out of the flow of things. But I've come to find that all that type of stuff did well on YouTube a while ago, but now it seems like if you just kind of have like these train of thought, like just live in creativity and just like make videos as you go and not have any sort of consistent format, that seems to catch on a bit more, and it's more what's the word? It's more I guess it's more nurturing to a creative lifestyle. But I feel like because of the way I have everything formatted, it prevents myself from like really trying new stuff, because I feel like I don't want to try something new unless I want to like commit to it and do more videos like that. But it also keeps me stuck in making videos I'm not really enthused about making.
Like, are we talking like the lyrics series, or the Every Vocalist? Obviously, you haven't done one of those in a while, but basically that type of thing, where you feel like you're stuck in a certain cycle that I need to make another one of these videos.
Yeah, misheard lyrics I hate making because they're just so monotonous, and the only talent it requires is me making a different type of grimace.
Yeah.
For each lyric, but that's kind of like an exception because those videos do insanely better than anything else, and I think just to maintain a healthy channel, I'll keep that going. And they're like really easy to make too, even though they're easy to make, but they're also a bitch to make. But other things I have going, like I tried doing like a weekly like sketch kind of thing, which started out really well because I had good ideas, but then it's like I don't have an idea this week, but I feel like I still have to make something. So it's kind of like this half-assed thing. But yeah, the monthly album things, that was fun for a while, but as of last month, I just don't really want to do it anymore.
Well, Hannah, you did a similar thing, like kind of your album of the month, and it's something where, especially if people aren't like super receptive to it, it can get a bit tedious, because...
Yeah, and I mean, people just, I feel like, didn't watch it as much just because it depends like what it was on. Like if it was like on a really small band, like no one's gonna click on it,
Yeah.
Which
I used to always think it was like people, there's like a certain type of video people want to watch, and there's a certain type of video people don't want to watch, and that changes over time. But I always kind of lived by that. But I think it's more just like people just like to watch you being purely creative and in the moment. And I think looking back on it with that lens, I think that's when people enjoy my videos, is when I'm enjoying it and when I'm doing something I want to do. So yeah, I don't know. This is a very recent train of thought. I still have like not figured out what I'm gonna do.
Right. I understand that, and I can definitely understand, because back in the day I used to script all of my album reviews that I would do and that sort of thing, but that got so repetitive, and it just got down to me looking for a new adjective to describe how awesome something was, or how bad something was. Yeah, exactly. I was quite literally doing that, and just saying, all right, what can I put here, because I just reviewed another album 2 days ago and essentially gave it the same score. How am I going to approach this one differently? So I abandoned the script, went to mainly bullet points, or even a lot of the times it's just more of the stream of consciousness, like you were talking about there. And I haven't noticed like any difference in terms of people like commenting, like saying like, oh, we can tell that, you know, this wasn't well planned, or this wasn't well structured, or anything like that, because people that are watching YouTube videos really,
I think those
really
are better because it just sounds more real too. Like it's not like you're just reading something, you know.
Right.
If you look at the analytics of the channels that actually do really well these days, like H3 and like Filthy Frank and Jack's Films and stuff, they literally just post like 10-second memes at times and just like completely random stuff. I know H3 has like a weekly thing, and he has kind of a general structure, but for the most part it's just kind of random, and you don't know what's gonna pop up in your YouTube channel feed, I guess. Yeah. Do you still feel like you're in the hustle? Are you like trying to do this full time?
I don't know about Hannah, but yeah, I'm kind of like at that point.
It's more realistic for you.
I've been at that point, and thanks to kind of this whole adpocalypse thing, I've been on the cusp, and I was pushing towards it, I think, more than ever. But since March, it's kind of been spotty with like advertising on YouTube and that sort of thing. It's really
frustrating.
Yeah, it can definitely be very frustrating because some videos, it's not even that they're getting dinged. It's like, you know, they show up as monetized, but there's actually no one's getting ads.
Or the ads don't show up until like a day after, and it's like, well, you get most of your views like right when you upload usually, so it kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, it's not like I'm going to be quitting my day job anytime soon as of right now, but we'll see, because next summer we're moving in together, and that'll kind of take some of the financial burden off of, you know, me and that sort of thing. So we'll just have to see what the landscape of YouTube is at that point.
Yeah. Now that we've been talking about it, I think the reason I had that like the consistency and like healthy video mindset was just because when I was first starting YouTube, I was literally just surviving on like $600 a month in ad revenue and like ham sandwiches and a really shitty apartment.
We relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I kind of had to just survive on that, but at this point, like I still make a modest, humble living, but I don't have to worry about my expenses nearly as much. If I was just dependent on ad revenue alone, I would be, but I've managed to kind of offset it with music sales and like working on Warped Tour and selling merch too. So I think now is that I'm considering this stuff now because I guess I can finally sit back and think like I don't need to make like this these consistent like weekly videos.
Right. You're not forcing yourself to do a certain thing because you know this will pay the rent this month or something like that. No, I understand that, and it's something especially for me, if I was still like in an apartment or splitting the rent or something like that, I could definitely do YouTube. But I made the decision about 2 years ago to get my own place, and it's not like I've got a huge house or anything. But thank you. I'm a homeowner now.
I'm still renting.
No, I rented for 6 years before, you know, I got my own place. But
it's just money in the hole.
Yeah, exactly. That was my whole thing. And you've got, you know, I've got my dad who's been in real estate before and that sort of thing and knows about it. And he's like, you need to buy. And I was like, you know, it makes sense. But right now what I'm getting at is that it wouldn't make sense for me to just gamble everything on YouTube, you know, paying what they should, I guess, for, or else what I feel they should for, you know, a certain amount of views and that sort of thing, or a certain amount of ad views. And I don't know. YouTube's tricky these days. I have a complicated relationship.
It's a tough game, kids.
It really is.
Yeah, if you're thinking about getting into it,
good luck.
Yeah, good luck. If you don't, especially if you have.
When people ask me what working on YouTube is like, dude, does like Google pay you so much money? And I'm like, imagine having a job with no benefits and no security.
And it differs from month to month.
It's so true.
With very vague hours that you can't clock out from.
Yeah, true.
For whenever people tell me, like, oh, you're on YouTube, so do they, like, you know, you've got this many subscribers, do they, like, pay you a certain amount? And I'm like, I wish.
It's not by subscribers.
Yeah, if I had $70,000 and they're paying me a certain amount every month, that would be great, but it's not. Exactly. It's more of a, oh, no, YouTube decided to ding these 4 videos that you made. Is not advertiser friendly this month. So.
I think we should bring up, there's this new app actually called TAD that's just coming about.
Have you heard about that?
Nope.
It's not a plug or anything. They're not sponsoring me, although they can feel free to.
Honestly, we do really think it's going to be great because it's like this app where people, like, you just go on it and it's just ads that you watch and then you get, like, credit and you can send it to any creator and it gives them, like, money, like, without you having to spend any money. And
so therefore, like, the people maybe that couldn't pre-order your album on IndieGoGo, for example, or whoever couldn't support on Patreon whenever that was active for you and is still active for me. It's one of those things where basically they're just sitting down and saying, like, all right, well, I don't get ads on John or Jarrod's or Hannah's videos 3/4 of the time that I watch them. So I can sit here as often as I want every month and watch some ads and then transfer it over to them, and then in turn they get paid.
That would drive me crazy. I don't know if the kids like doing that. That's
if you fine. Like, as in, like, sitting there actually, like, playing the ads.
Yeah, because it's like what, like a penny a view or something.
I think it's actually 3 cents. 3 cents per ad view.
Well, what's good about this one, like, you don't have to watch the entire ad. I think it, like, stops after, like, around, like, halfway, and you can just keep scrolling. So I mean, it's something I guess you can just do, like, in the background, like. I mean, it's just another option, I guess, for people
it's a developing
don't have
app.
anything to give.
I'm just interested in the idea behind it to see, one, who would be on board to do it in terms of the viewer's perspective, and also in terms of, like, the advertisers. Like, does that make sense for them, you know, be putting their ads there? I don't know. It's a new startup company, so I'm interested to see what happens with it. But that leads me into my final question for the day, and that is, you've got 3 or 4 projects now that have been successfully funded on IndieGoGo. Is that right? How many is it?
I think it's actually only 3 IndieGoGos, but I've had multiple projects. Some have just been out of pocket.
Right. With you seeing yourself hitting that goal that you set every time, I feel like some people, you know, like, their first one that they do, they're going to be like, all right, I'm going to put out my new album. And if we hit this goal, then I'm going to make it. And then the second time they do it, it's maybe not as successful. The album doesn't end up happening. But you've managed to actually, over, like, each time, hit your goal. Like, how does that feel from, like, a creative point of view to know that people are still wanting this music from you? And even though maybe it's not the most popular thing in the world, that you've got such a good, like, core audience.
It feels pretty nice. I mean, it's free money. But...
that's getting spent on all of the production costs that people don't even probably see or know.
I mean, honestly, like, people ask me, like, what do you need $20,000 for an album? And it's like, dude, like, the album's like $6,000, but you gotta pay all this in taxes. IndieGoGo takes this fee off the top, and you're not donating money, like, you're buying something. So it's like, when you give $25, it's not like you're just handing me $25. You're buying an album and a t-shirt, and that, like, includes shipping, which is actually cheaper than most people do it.
Yeah, that's something that we, I think, say to each other pretty often, is the fact that, you know, that's a good deal in and of itself, but you see some of these bands that are even much bigger, like these projects, and they're selling their shirts for $40 at shows.
Going up and up.
Well, that's pure profit right there. For me, it's like I'm selling this stuff and I'm using what little profits I can to fund an album. And I usually always break even.
Right. And I think that that's really respectable. The fact that you're in it clearly because like you enjoy it and you do love like the creative process, working with whoever you work with, collaborating in the studio and that sort of thing. So in all seriousness, like I really do respect that about you. The fact that you've never like overcharged or set this like huge goal, like, hey guys, I need $100,000 to fund my debut Canadian softball.
I'll start doing that at some point once I
not even a full length. You're just gonna do an EP for $100,000.
Once I knock up my girlfriend and the economy crashes, I might start pulling stuff like that. But only time will tell.
I'm not knock on wood for that because who knows when that's actually going to happen. Well, Jarrod, thank you so much for the coming on today, for your time and just talking about whatever it was that we chose to bring up. We went down a few rabbit holes, but we hope you guys enjoyed listening to everything. You guys probably already know Jarrod, but if not, we'll put a couple of links for him, including the new Canadian softball record in the description down below. Jarrod, any closing remarks? I can respect that. All right. Thank you, Jarrod. Thanks for coming on. I'm John.
And I'm Hannah.
And we will see you next time on Not a Podcast. How long can you hold that, Jarrod?
Well, I can hold it for a really long time, but if I had known this was a groan holding contest, I would have taken a deeper breath and been more sparing with my oxygen, but you ruined it.
And we're going to close it on that.
See ya.
I remember, we all remember, you've had that same smug look since December, indirectly braggadocious, you really thought we wouldn't notice. A phase is a phase, but you're stuck in a maze. How long until the next one?